Okay, I'll be the first to admit that I can be a little nerdy when it comes to the readings that we hear on Sunday. Last week, the second reading was 88 words long. That's called a run-on sentence. Well, this week it's even worse. It's 93 words long. One sentence, 93 words long. So these type of readings are very hard to read at Mass, and so if you're a lector, I would encourage you to practice reading this way, or practice reading in a way that it makes it easy for the congregation to understand. You'll have to intentionally break long readings into parts. Sometimes punctuation marks have been added over the centuries. They weren't there in the first edition of the letters from St. Paul. So really follow the punctuation marks. Use your common sense and read it so that people can understand it and can be strengthened by the Word of God. So here we go. This is week 4 in a 7-week series from Paul's letter to the Ephesians. If Paul didn't write it, somebody who was very familiar with Paul did. Paul encourages the Gentile converts to no longer live the way they used to before they believed in Jesus Christ. He says, don't live your former way of life. They are not to live in the futility of their minds, because now they have learned the truth that is in Jesus. So their minds need to be kind of reformed and changed. What else is Paul saying to us? They are to put away the old self and take on the new self, and this new self is taken on in righteousness and in holiness. So let's take a look at our reading from Sunday's Mass. A reading from the letter to the Ephesians. Brothers and sisters, I declare and testify to the Lord that you must no longer live as the Gentiles do, in the futility of their minds. That is not how you learned Christ. Assuming that you have heard of him and that you were taught in him. This is Paul being a little facetious, kind of throwing a little zinger in there. As truth is in Jesus Christ, and hopefully you are abiding in that truth, so that you should put away the old self of your former way of life, corrupted through deceitful desires, and be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and put on the new self, created in God's way, in righteousness and holiness of truth. So, Paul is encouraging the Gentiles who have become Christians to be faithful to their conversion. Don't go back to their old ways. Push on and be new. Pursue righteousness and holiness. So, this is the second reading. Today's Wednesday. I would encourage you to spend some time today rereading the letter, at least that section of it, and more importantly, see how it applies to you. Have you given up the old ways? If you go back to the old ways, what do you need to do? What is God calling you to move forward in? What does holiness, what does righteousness look like in your life? So, reread it. More importantly, see how it applies to your life. Come back on Thursdays and Friday, and we always take a look at the Gospels. Thanks.